All right, today we're diving into something really cool. It's a powerful way of thinking that can help anyone, and I really do mean anyone, start something new. It's called the effectual mindset, and trust me, it's gonna flip a lot of what you think you know about business completely on its head. So let's just jump right in.
Okay, so let's kick things off with a big question. You know how we're always taught that to succeed, you need this perfect business plan, market research, the whole nine yards. Basically, you have to predict the future. But what if that's all wrong? What if the most successful entrepreneurs aren't fortune tellers at all? What if they're actually creators who shape the future as they move forward? Just let that sink in for a minute as we go through this.
All right, section one, let's tackle what's probably the biggest hurdle for so many people. Where in the world do we even find a good idea, right? There's this popular myth that great ideas are like lightning strikes. They're super rare, they're magical, and you just have to wait for one to hit you. But the truth? They're literally all around us, all the time. See, the source of a great idea isn't some big mystery. It really just boils down to three things. First, just look around you for problems and needs. What bugs you? What frustrates your friends or family? Second, look inward at your own unique skills and hobbies. What are you actually good at? What do you just love to do? And then, number three, that's the magic spot. That's where you find the perfect match between a problem out there and a skill you have right here.
And let me give you a fantastic real-world example of this. So picture this. In Northeast India, there was this huge problem. You had farmers growing all this incredible exotic kiwi fruit. But here's the catch. Because of all sorts of logistical nightmares, tons and tons of it was just spoiling before it could even get to a market. I mean, a massive amount of value was literally just rotting on the ground.
And this is where that perfect match comes in. An agricultural engineer, a woman named Tajrida, saw this problem, and she didn't just see wasted fruit, right? She saw an opportunity. She took her very specific skills in agricultural engineering and started a winery called Naara Abba. And get this, she turned all that fruit that was going to waste into a really valuable kiwi wine. Boom, problem solved and an amazing business created. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Aren't all the good ideas already taken? No way, not even close. The thing is, the world is always changing. Opportunities are constantly popping up because of new tech, new rules, or just shifts in how we all live. I mean, think about it. Quick commerce, furniture rentals, those things didn't just appear out of nowhere. They exist because our needs for convenience and flexibility changed. So we've got the idea part down, but what about the person who's supposed to have the idea? We all have this image in our heads, right? A stereotype of what an entrepreneur looks like, acts like, talks like. Well, I'm here to tell you that in reality, that stereotype is pretty much just a myth. Okay, let's bust myth number one, personality. The idea that you have to be this loud, charismatic extrovert to make it. It's just not true. Your personality does not define your potential. The reality is you've got people like Kunal Shah from Cred, who's super outgoing, and then you have Rinder Gupta from Daily Hunt, who's known to be more of an introvert. Both of them, they both built massive, massive companies. And what about age? The media just loves that story of the 20-something founder in a hoodie, right? And yeah, sure, the founders of Amagi, they started right out of college. But then you look at the founders of Map My India. They started in their 40s after having these long corporate careers. The bottom line is, there is absolutely no right age to start. And then there's expertise. This one is really fascinating. There's this myth that you have to be an industry expert. But PC Mustafa, the guy behind ID Fresh Foods, he came from the IT world. He wasn't a food expert at all. And on the complete flip side, you have Dr. Charth Bograj, a top cardiologist who used his deep medical expertise to build his company, Tricog. So you see, you can be an outsider with a fresh perspective or an insider who knows the problems inside and out. Both paths absolutely work. And really, this quote just sums it all up perfectly. It's not something you're born with. It's not a gene you inherit. It's something you can learn and you can become. It's a skill. It's a mindset. And that means anyone, literally anyone, can develop it. Okay, so if ideas are everywhere and pretty much anyone can become an entrepreneur, what's the real challenge? What's the thing that trips most people up? Well, the true difficulty isn't finding the idea, and it's not about having the right personality. It's all about dealing with the one thing that every single new venture faces, a completely unpredictable future. To really get this, let's play a little game. Imagine two jars. In jar number one, it's filled with different colored candies. You pull a few out, and pretty soon, you can start guessing the odds of what you'll get next. That's risk. The future is unknown, sure, but you can calculate it. Now look at jar number two. You reach in and pull out a lemon, okay? Then you pull out a tea bag, then a ping pong ball. There's absolutely no pattern. You have no clue what's coming next. That is uncertainty. The future isn't just unknown, it's unknowable. And startups, they live and breathe in jar number 2.
And that's why uncertainty is so different from risk. It means you just can't rely on a rigid step-by-step plan. You can't. Any business plan you write for a truly new thing, it's basically a work of fiction. I'm serious. It's going to completely fall apart the second it makes contact with the real world. And that's exactly why you need a totally different way of thinking. So, if you can't predict the future, what are you supposed to do? Well, you don't predict it. You control it. And that brings us to the absolute core of what we're talking about today, your entrepreneurial superpower. It's called effectuation, or the effectual mindset. The best way to understand this is with an analogy from the kitchen. Most of us, in life and in business, are taught what's called causal logic. It's like deciding, I'm going to make biryani for dinner. So you find a recipe, you make a list, you go to the store, and you get all the exact ingredients. You start with a goal and find the resources. But entrepreneurs, they use effectual logic. That's like raiding the fridge, seeing you've got some leftover chicken, half an onion, and some random sauce, and then deciding what amazing meal you can create with what's right in front of you. You see the difference? You start with your resources and you create the goal from there. So this whole way of thinking, this effectual logic, it's built on 5 core principles. And when you put them all together, they become this incredibly powerful toolkit for navigating that uncertainty we talked about and actually creating the future. So let's break them down one by one.
First up is the bird in hand principle, and it's a beautifully simple idea. It just says, start with what you have, right here, right now. It's about asking 3 simple questions. 1, who am I? What are my passions, my experiences? 2, what do I know? What are my skills, my expertise? And 3, whom do I know? What does my network look like? So instead of chasing some far-off, distant dream, your very first step is grounded in the reality of what you already have. Okay, next up is the affordable loss principle. And this one completely flips the script on how we normally think about risk. See, instead of getting all excited about some huge potential upside, you do the opposite. You calculate the downside with total discipline. You ask yourself, what am I willing and able to lose to take this one next step? It could be time, money, even reputation. By doing this, you stay in control. It lets you run all these little experiments without ever betting the farm on a future you can't predict.
Then we have the crazy quilt principle. This one is all about destroying that myth of the lone genius founder working away in a garage. The idea is simple. Don't build in secret. Go out and talk to everyone about what you're doing. The people who get excited, the ones who lean in, they become your partners. They literally select themselves. And they bring their own skills, their own networks, their own goals to the table. And together, you co-create the venture, kind of stitching it together piece by piece, like a quilt. The business is literally shaped by the people who decide to join the journey with you. All right, the lemonade principle. You know the saying, when life gives you lemons? Well, this is the business version of that. In a world of pure uncertainty, surprises aren't just possible, they are absolutely guaranteed. But here's the shift. Instead of seeing a surprise as a failure that's derailing your precious plan, you see it as valuable data. It's a clue from the market, pointing you toward a better, maybe more interesting direction. So surprise isn't a setback, it's a compass pointing you where you really need to go. And all of this leads us to the final, and I think the most powerful idea, the pilot in the plane principle. This is really the worldview that ties everything together. And the quote says it all. To the extent that I can control the future, I don't need to predict it. Think about that. Instead of being a passenger on a plane nervously trying to guess where it's going to land, you are the pilot in the cockpit. Your actions, and the actions of the partners you bring on board with you, are what determine the destination. So the question is no longer, what does the future hold? The question becomes, what future am I going to create? By starting with who you are, what you know, and who you know, by focusing only on what you can afford to lose, and by building with others, you stop being a passenger in your own life. You take the controls. You become the pilot.